All right, we're here with actor turned, I want to say activist, Justin Klosky. I don't think that's the accurate word, activist, but you went from a career as an actor to forming your own company called the OCD Experience. So why don't you talk a little bit about your journey from becoming an actor and how it led into what you're doing now, and then also what you're working on.
Sounds good. So yes, I went from an actor kind of into being an entrepreneur and taking a little bit more control of my life. As any actor knows out there, it can be a little stressful and overwhelming. So I wanted to basically have control of the direction my life was going in. And I started the business about 6 years ago. It is called the OCD Experience, and underneath that is organize and create discipline. And what I do is I teach my clients the disciplines on maintaining an organized life.
Do you have, obviously don't name names, but are there celebrity clients that benefit from, or actor clients, not necessarily, they don't have to be celebrities, but actor friends of yours that have benefited from your program?
Yes, there are. I mean, very fortunate for me is my background was as an actor. I also worked in talent management and in the agency world for a long time, so I developed very trusting relationships with the people who were in my life. So naturally, the first clients who I got to work with were actors, were people who were considered celebrities, and I got to teach them the principles behind the way I live my life so they could live their life more effectively, more efficiently, and stay on top of the overwhelmingness that being a celebrity or an actor or an entrepreneur might be.
Right. And now what was the hardest part for you transitioning from actor to activist? I'm going to just keep using that because I like the way it sounds. But was it tough for you to give up the acting end, or were you more interested in helping people? Not that you've given it up, because you are, there may be something on the horizon for you that you may talk about, but what was that like for you, switching gears a little bit?
You know, leaving anything is never easy, especially when you've been doing it your whole life, but I felt that it was time to do something different, and the reason why I enjoyed acting when I was a kid all the way through my mid-20s is I got to help people. I got to see people change their perception or their emotional well-being because of my performance. And that became more of a business as I got older. And I gravitated away towards that because of that situation. So I started my business thinking, all right, I'm gonna start this business, I'm gonna make some money, I'm gonna have the freedom to audition and act on my own terms, and then it just kind of snowballed into something a little different.
Right.
I wrote a book, which is coming out December of 2013, very soon, and now I'm getting to be myself on national television, talking about the OCD experience, organize and create discipline, and how I'm helping people, which is much more fulfilling now to me than acting was at that moment for me.
Now, in writing the book, did you find it therapeutic and still help you, even though you're kind of a leader in this OCD experience? You're one of the, obviously the founders, but you're also a leader and a counselor. Did you find it cathartic for you writing the book, and did you discover anything new about yourself while you're doing so?
Of course. I mean, any writer would get to say this, but writing any piece of work is always some kind of emotional journey. So I did find myself very much emoting, connecting to what I was writing, and that was so fulfilling. You know, it was also during one of the hardest times of my life when I wrote my book. You know, I moved back to New York from Los Angeles. I was in a really horrible relationship, so that was my therapy, was escaping from the relationship, diving into this dictionary of 300 plus words of organization, orgasm, and you know, there it was.
What are some of the similarities between your acting career and now your counseling career? Are there not any?
There are a lot of similarities. Probably the most important similarity is the ability to connect. You know, as an actor, your job is to connect with somebody on any level to make sure the audience is feeling or a part of what you're doing. And every day when I'm working with somebody with the OCD experience, if I'm not connecting with them, if I'm not present, and if I'm not believable and truthful, then it's never going to work.
Now you had unique opportunity to star on a soap opera where you went to events, met fans. What was that like for you to be thrust into a genre where your presence is admired and looked to in that respect? And did that help you in talking with fans and learning from fans? Did that help you where you are today?
Yeah, of course. I mean, first it was very overwhelming. I mean, you're showing up to these massive conventions or places that you're speaking or signing autographs, and you don't know most of these people. After a couple years, you get to know a handful of them, and you realize who's more of a fan and who's just there to see other people.
Right.
But you know, you grow a lot, of course, because you're interacting with a group of strangers at first who are respecting you on some level, which you are completely unaware of why or how or what's connecting them to you. And then throughout getting to know them and listening to them and hugging them and signing autographs, you realize that everyone has their own story and their own journey, which brought them, one, to the show, and two, to come up and approach you for whatever reason it is.
What was the turning point for you in realizing that you could help people? When did you first sit there and think, is it because you went through it, or was there something in your head that just clicked and said, I really feel like I have something here, I can help people?
You know, I think it's a little bit of a longer journey than just like...
Just a click?
Yeah, you know, there's always the click. There's always a moment of realization for anyone. Well, you hope there's that moment of realization for anyone where they realize something's not right or something's not working or something is working, but they need to make that next step. For me, I got off of Guiding Light and I moved to Los Angeles and I started a band. And the band was so much fun, and we were becoming very successful at what we were doing, playing the major clubs there. And then all of a sudden it got cut off because people had creative differences and people wanted to do different things. And at that moment I stopped and I said, I need control of something, especially with OCD. Losing control is always a very difficult thing. So you have to find a way to regain control in order to find that balance and the semblance in your head.
Right.
So when that happened, I realized, okay, what am I good at? You know, I know I'm a good performer. I've been recognized for that. I know that I connect with people well, and I also am a maniac when it comes to organizing, because that's the way I deal with my obsessions and compulsions. I find things and I put things in place so I can feel a sense of security. And at that moment, a good friend of mine looked at me and he said, dude, you know you could do that for a living. I said, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
He said, you can organize people for a living. And this was back in 2004, before it was this big business. And I said, really? So I started researching and looking into it, and sure enough, there were people who had pretty successful businesses doing it. And I decided one day to start a website, start a business, and that was the click for me, was, wow, I can put something that I've been doing in my life to good practice and teach people the structures and the habits and the disciplines that I've learned in order to maintain my life. And then it was that transition.
Now, in speaking in that transition, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it seems like you're almost more proud of what you've accomplished, both personally because of being able to overcome the OCD and helping others, than in your acting. Would that be a fair assessment?
Well, no, it's a good assessment. It's so much of life, not even acting, organizing, any profession, these days in this social sharing world is based on other people's likes or dislikes or shares or followers or whatever it might be. For me, whether I have 400,000 followers on Twitter, whether I have 2 friends on Facebook, I know when I connect with a client and I get to work with them one-on-one and make a difference in their life, no one can take that away from me.
Right.
Whereas when you're on TV or you're acting or you're doing whatever it is you're doing, people can take that away from you in a heartbeat. And there is a little bit of a difference for me, and I am a little more proud because it comes from the truth of something that I had to deal with in my life.
Right.
And now pass on to other people because they want it, because they come to me asking for it. Not because I'm auditioning, saying I want that role, but it's someone saying, hey, I would like help in this arena of my life. Can you help me? Yeah, 100%.
Does your personality help you in the same way when you were pursuing acting as it does in helping others? Because you're very outgoing, you're very open to talking, you're very like when you look at you know what I mean? Like you can just feel a connection with people. And did that help you in both aspects of your life? Or did it help in one more than the other?
Believe it or not, it's a great question. I felt like it was almost a deterrent when I was an actor, because the genuinity that I have inside of me to want to connect to people might have come across eager or too eager as an actor. Whereas when I'm connecting with people, working with them on organizing Create Discipline and the OCD experience, it's 100% always taken as genuinity and honesty, because that's why someone's sitting there in front of me.
Right.
And that's what they're expecting. So it's funny how, although I was still embodying the same kind of behavior, maybe more matured now, because 6-7 years can change a person a lot. It definitely has helped throughout that course of the.
And you're based in LA now, but you're kind of bi-coastal. You come back and forth a lot.
I mean, New York's always going to be.
New York's going to be your home, yeah.
It's where I started the second chapter of my life, I would say, by coming here to go to NYU, guiding light, all of the things that happened after that, and then LA was the third chapter, and now I guess the fourth is OCD with New York and LA and Florida.
Do you find a difference in the way people deal with their OCD or look for help between the people that live in LA and New York? I know it may sound like a dumb question, but New Yorkers tend to be a little bit more neurotic and a little bit more always on the go. Californians seem to be a little bit more laid back. That may be a generality.
Yeah.
But is there a difference for you when you're treating people on different coasts? I mean, obviously there's differences person to person.
I mean, I would never use the word treating with what I do, because I'm not a therapist or a psychologist. But what I would say is the most similar and different from New York and LA is exactly that.
Yeah.
I mean, people's personalities are so unique and so different. And yes, people are much more laid back in Los Angeles than in LA, but comparing the two is apples and oranges. They're both such different beasts.
So your book is coming out December 26th, like you said. That's got to be exciting for you. Is there anything else that's going on that you're allowed to talk about? Or I know we spoke about something prior, but I don't know.
Of course. So I do have a book coming out December 26th. It's called Organize and Create Discipline, an A to Z guide to an organized existence. It's a little bit autobiographical. Penguin and Avery wanted a little bit of my backstory and where I came from and how I started my business, so you get a little bit of that. The foreword was written by a dear friend and client, Bryce Dallas Howard, who's an actress. And she wrote a beautiful foreword about her experience with me and getting organized and her family. And then it goes into A to Z of everything I could think of at the time, how to organize it the OCD way. And it's kind of transitioned back into TV a little bit. I've gotten to work with incredible, national broadcast people like Anderson Cooper. I'm on The Talk regularly with Julie Chen, Sharon Osbourne, and all those ladies.
Yeah.
And now I just signed a deal with Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos with their production company, Melojo, to develop a reality program. We'll see if it goes anywhere, but for now it's exciting. Well,
good luck with that. We look forward to the book coming out, and if anybody wants information on Justin's program, we will put a link up to his website, his Twitter, and everything after this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.